Hi guys, it's Bimpe A again. If you don't know me, I love listening to people's stories. Today I'm going to be listening to a friend who is a chef. She owns a restaurant in Aberdeen. If you haven't tried Nigerian food, here is the place to go. Tasty Tea, just Google it. It's just from the old Aberdeen market. Go under the bridge, look on your right, Tasty Tea restaurant is there. And she serves lovely food, jollof rice, efforiro, you name it. I'll let her share her story. Please welcome Temitope Banjoko. Thank you. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for this opportunity.
You're very welcome. So what do we start with? Tell us about you're from Nigeria.
Yes, I am.
Can you tell us about your childhood days in Nigeria?
I'm from a very big family. I grew up initially as an only child, and then eventually, my siblings came along. My mom has always been the rock. She's always been the cook, the father, the mother. She's done everything for everybody, and as such, eventually I had a very big family. So it's been a good one.
Interesting. So when did you start learning how to cook?
To be fair, I started learning in 2009.
Oh,
yes.
Quite recent.
Yes, quite recent. My auntie, she was the one who was cooking, and then I took a bit of interest in that. We lived together then, and it just kicked off from there. It became a hobby of mine afterwards.
So what attracted you to cooking? How did you get to love it?
Like I said, I'm from a very big family. So my family, we always had a culture where Sundays we cooked yam and egg, the typical Sunday meal in Nigeria. So it was just always fun having people around, people sitting around the table. It was something I loved. As long as people are eating, smiling, I'm happy. And it became something I just couldn't stop.
Wow.
Seeing people eat and drink and just be merry. Yes.
So talking about cooking, do you have any mentors?
Yes. First of all, I'll say my mother. I grew up watching her run a restaurant, and actually she ran two at once at some point, while she was also running a clothing business. So that was quite it was a big inspiration for me, because I saw her do like three businesses at the same time, but the food was the major one.
Right.
Yes, and she's my biggest inspiration. Yeah.
Does she still have a restaurant?
Yes, she does.
Interesting.
Amalaturewa. That's what it's called.
Oh, right, in Nigeria.
Yes, in Ikota.
And I've heard she's very popular.
She is. She does catering majorly, and the restaurant is just like a booker style, but it's very busy.
Wow.
Yes.
So you're taking after mom.
I'd like to say so.
Any other mentors apart from your mom?
My auntie who taught me, my daughter Farida, she's actually a really big part of my journey. She's always inspiring, and now she's sometimes Gordon Ramsay in my home, so she tries to criticize my food.
Wow.
And she gives me points, to be fair. She does that. So my mom, my daughter, my auntie, my family as a whole, they've all been supportive, and my friends. So pretty much everyone. And yourself. always having something great to say. So sometimes you just don't want to let people down. You just keep going, and it's nice to be inspired by people around me.
That's very nice to know. So did you learn all the things you cook and how to cook it from mom and auntie?
So the major part I learned from my auntie and my mother. Along the line, knowing fully well that Aberdeen is it's quite blended. So we have people from Warri, Delta, and I never really met people from those ends in Nigeria. So some of them taught me how to make afang soup, which is one of our most popular dishes.
Afang soup, that's one to try.
Yes, it's vegetable, okazi and spinach and some meat and fish. It's really wholesome, it's rich. So I learned that in Aberdeen. Funny enough, I learned how to make nkwobi, isiu from some of my Igbo sisters, banga soup from some as well. So it's been accumulated knowledge, so to speak, and everybody's been helpful, and I just keep learning every day.
Is there an option for people to come and have non-spicy, not as spicy?
Right now we tend to have a very minimal level of spice, so what we have more is people asking for it to be more spicy. However, if you do have any needs or requirements, just let us know in advance. Just ask and we will make sure that you get it.
Good.
Yes.
Good. How is the business doing?
Business in these times. I cannot say that it's been 100% perfect, but it's been good. It has been good. We've had some quiet days, considering, I mean, it's January now, but we have our rush times as well. From April, usually we just get busy up until summertime, which is quite good. So we have good times. We have, just like any business, peak times and quiet times, but also it's been a challenge. Running a business is something that takes up your time, you know. Having to get staffing is one of the major issues, which I'm now thankful that we've been able to resolve that. But it is still, it would be helpful to have people who actually have the know-how from Nigeria, people who can cook the local dishes as much as I would love it, rather than having to train people, if you know what I mean. So staffing is a big problem. Funding sometimes is a bit of a problem, and just satisfying customers as a whole. It's really hard. I think sometimes people are really hard on business owners, not realizing how much we have to put in and all of that, but it's something that we'll keep doing, because I love to do it. It's what my passion is. I've always loved to cook. I've always loved to run a business, so it's there.
So can you tell us the situation where you considered giving it up, if at all, and why?
You know, we've had COVID, which was a huge part. So that was a really bad time for us. I considered giving up. I'm not gonna lie, because everything we made at the time was put back into running the business. There was practically no profit, but thankfully the government came with the grants and all of that. Yeah, and that just changed everything. But yeah, there have been times that I thought of giving up, but then again, when somebody calls me and says, I need a bowl of jollof rice, I just can't,
like me,
like you, I just can't say no. It's more of the people for me. As much as profit is important, people for me is very, very, very important. Yeah.
And have there been moments of wow, this is what I want to do and I want to keep going?
Yes. Just last year we were awarded Best Restaurant of the Year.
What?
Proudly Black and Scottish in Glasgow. And for a moment I wasn't planning to go, because I thought, oh, Glasgow, I don't know anybody, you know. And then when we got the award, somebody actually said, I can't remember, someone on stage said, oh, I'm not surprised that you won. And I looked back and said, why? She said, because I know of your food, and my mother, who is very hard to please, she sends me down to Aberdeen. I said, wow, I didn't even know that. And I felt really good about that. And I was encouraged to maybe even try to open a branch in Glasgow. And for once, I felt recognized. I felt what we have been doing. I've been doing it for the past 6 years. I mean, I felt like it was worth it. Yeah.
That's really good.
Yes.
If the Prime Minister of the UK wants to come and try a dish in Tasty Tea, which one would you offer him?
We all know it's jollof rice. It's the smoky jollof rice. That first, and definitely I'll offer him some tender beef. The spicy beef, yes, cooked in some tomato sauce, a little bit of spicy pepper, the scotch bonnet and onions, and some mixed peppers. That's everybody's go-to as well. So some steak meat and some jollof rice. That's what I'll offer him.
Nice.
Yes.
My best is the jollof rice, and then you have this fried yam with the fish.
Oh yes.
The whole fish. Is it croaker or Hake.
Mostly croaker.
Croaker.
The grilled fish, yes.
And then sometimes the yam is with fried plantain as well. Oh my
Yes.
lord, you should try it. It's awesome.
Yeah. At the moment, we do that on weekends.
Alright.
Yes, because we like to make sure that it's grilled nice and fresh out of the oven and then spiced up. But it's one of my favorites as well. Yes.
So Mama Farida, you came to tell us about your journey to the UK. Did you start in Aberdeen? I don't want to talk too much.
Okay. I came to the UK after my secondary school education.
Really?
So yes, I did. I went to London for 3 years. I studied my AS levels in business at Shooters Hill Post 16 campus. After that, I moved to Scotland. I had 1 year actually working at the Shell. I had a 1 year gap because I wanted to work, save up some money to go to the university, and that was how I found myself in Aberdeen. I moved to Aberdeen in 2008, summertime to be precise, and I did some retail jobs, and that was not for me. Eventually landed a role as a front of house staff in Shell on Queen's Road then. I think it's closed down now. And that was when I knew that I just loved to serve people. You know, I did some clearing up, some coffee. I made good coffee, by the way. I'm a very good barista. I did that, and I just loved constantly being in the kitchen and serving people. And that was how my journey started. It was quite something. I enjoyed it. It was the most enjoyable job I ever had.
Wow.
Yeah.
And since then, you've been working in different places before you opened your own restaurant?
No, that was my last job.
Right.
That was my last job.
So when did you know that you wanted to open your own restaurant?
It's a funny story. It's a funny story. I've always said I didn't want to work for anyone. I've always known that I wanted to be my own boss. It's a thing, like I said, with my family. My aunties, my uncles, everybody seems to just have, they all just run their own businesses. So I think I grew up with that mindset that I would have my own. So when my auntie, we were cooking from home then, and when my auntie wanted to travel, she told me to take on some of the orders, and that was it. I just never stopped, and eventually the orders kept coming in, and I have someone in particular that kept saying, this is restaurant standard food.
Wow.
Mr. Sheung, yeah, that's his name. He's not in Aberdeen anymore. He kept saying it's restaurant standard, and I didn't understand it then. But my friends always just encouraged me to do it, and I decided to do it. Started from Aberdeen Market. I didn't even want to talk about that spot.
No, I remember the shop on George Street.
Yeah, before that I had another store, Aberdeen Market.
Wow.
It's now demolished.
Yes.
That's the one that leads to my new space on Correction Wind. Wow. Yeah, it was a cubicle. I had no funds. I had my daughter, and I had just graduated uni, and I just thought I wanted to take the business out. So how do I start? The only place which I think the UK, I don't know whose idea it was to have that place, but it was good for business that wanted to start without funds, because what we did was we paid weekly.
You're right.
Yes, so it wasn't much of a stretch, but that was when I knew that business was going to be tough. Just setting up, getting handymen to start it all up was really difficult. And eventually when we started, we had very limited hours. Yes, so we were only allowed to open, I think, 8:30 till 6 every day. And that was really daunting, because you have to boil cow leg, fry meat. It's different. So it was
Cow leg. Yes, there's cow leg. That's another thing to try.
Yes, it was always very, very, very stressful. And that's why I had to keep looking for somewhere else. And eventually George Street came along.
And now Correction Street.
Number 19 Correction Wind.
Correction Wind.
Yes.
I go there. It's lovely. It's nice.
She's one of my best customers.
Right. So what advice would you give to people who want to be entrepreneurs, trying to start up a business, cooking, whatever, fashion?
I'll say, if you have a dream, if you have something you want to go for, just go for it. I know I don't even know if it's my place to advise so much yet.
Of course.
I don't know, but just put your mind to it. Get all the help you can. I mean, I can tell you for a fact that I did not get here by doing it on my own. It took a whole village. I can tell you for a fact. So just go for it. Use all the resources around you properly. My resources then were just people, and I'm thankful for that. Not everybody is very good with people, because that's one of my best attributes.
Oh yes, trust me.
So to speak. But just go for it, and do not take no for an answer. Do not take no. Just keep thriving and put your best into it, and be consistent.
Yeah.
Consistent. That's the key thing for me. Because
Right.
I know that, like I said, it's not been so easy to run a business in this climate. I mean, but just stay true to yourself and do what you do best.
For example, about the COVID time.
What was the most helpful thing for me then was we had just signed up for Deliveroo in January, and COVID happened in March, I think. And we were only able to survive through delivery. And what I did then as well was I took bulk orders, and I kind of grouped people and did their cooking maybe on a Tuesday.
Right.
Yeah, that was how I started initially before Deliveroo continued.
Right.
Yes. So that was helpful. Deliveroo.
Any other challenges, Mama Farida?
For me, I think sometimes it's difficult for people to understand what it takes for us to stay open. Staying open means importing goods that we use for our foods. They're very expensive. So it's just the same way things are more expensive in Nigeria if you import, say, chocolates or whatever, So that's hard. Sometimes I feel like people do not understand that if you think about Tasty Tea, the only thing I've been trying to achieve is to take you back home. That's my ultimate goal. And sometimes people want you to be so Western, they forget that we are actually African. It's an African restaurant. I do want it to be an African restaurant. I'm not trying to make it a Western restaurant or a European standard, if you know what I mean. So I think people need to be very open as well, because I think we sometimes hoard information. We hoard important, anything that can help us as a community. We don't tend to share. For instance, access to funds. I mean, maybe the council, anything at all. I just think we should be more helpful towards each other, and it will help us grow more. Sometimes people are too hard on us. And yeah.
Any plans to go back to Nigeria?
I love Nigeria.
I know.
I go back every year. Yes. Home is where the heart is. For me, I will eventually go back home. There's so many opportunities. People are very creative, and I love going back. And every time I go back, there's no time I do not learn one thing. So for me, home is where I would love to be. I love the weather and I love the partying. So
I know, right?
That's definitely where I would end up. Yes.
So looking forward, looking ahead, any fears?
I think my biggest fear is the business closing down, and of course that's why I put in my all every day. But on the bright side, I'm looking at franchises, opening more branches, and I hope that will start happening anytime soon. I'm excited for the future. I'm not giving up. Hopefully the cost of things stop rising so we can stay afloat as well. If labor becomes accessible, if food ingredients supplies become cheaper, if what's this thing, electricity and gas is not on the rise, I think we'll survive.
Good.
So I'm hopeful.
Very good. About opening franchises, I bet
You're the number one.
Because for someone to have gone from Glasgow to Aberdeen to try your food and go back to Glasgow, guys, if you don't know the distance between Glasgow and Aberdeen, we're talking 5 hours a round trip here, if not more, depending on where you are. So her food is good. Go and try it. I think that's about all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. I hope I have some nice food in her dining table waiting for me. So I'll show you guys some of it so that you can choose which one of the food. It looks yummy, doesn't it? Or don't they? What's the right English? I'm already hungry. You can see all I'm going to have today. I'm going to have a taste of it all. Do you want to tell us what these are?
I'll start with the meat pies. These are usually good as your starters. It's a pastry filled with minced beef, some veg, and a bit of potatoes. Very nice. It's like your beef patties. Yeah? That's plantain. I think everybody knows plantain, right? Fried plantain, and that's the staple dish, jollof rice. You need to have a taste of the jollof. That's our main dish in Tasty Food. And that's a grilled fish. That's whole grilled croaker fish. Sorry, croaker, grilled with some spices, some onions, and then fried sauce as well, sprinkled all over. You can have it with fried yam or fried plantain. Very tasty. You'll just have it with your rice. And that's moi moi. That's bean cakes. Is that bean cakes? Yeah?
It is.
Steamed beans.
Is it akara that is bean cake?
I think it's akara.
And
this is beans. It's steamed beans, not bean cakes. It's steamed beans. Some blended beans, peppers, onions, a little bit of corned beef, and some egg at the top. And this is eforiru. This is a very typical dish from where I come from. I'm from Yoruba land, so eforiru is like your go-to meal for dinner. Have some with white rice, or mainly with pounder yam.
I love you eforiru.
And this again.
You can eat it with anything. It's lovely.
Glad you like it.
And what else would I try? The jollof rice. Yeah.
That's your favorite, your all-time favorite.
I love it. That charcoal taste is just awesome.
It's smoky jollof.
Yeah. No brainer. And this is the one that we get with the fried plantain or fried yam. Yes, and my boys sit with it and they're like, oh mommy, I love the fish.
We mainly do this on weekends. If we get more orders, we'll start.
Thank you guys for watching. Once again, that was Temitope Banjoko. Please visit Tasty Tea and try her food. It's lovely, trust me. You saw some of them. Go and try some. If you have any questions, you can pop it down below about entrepreneurship, starting a business, cooking for people, or any questions at all. Just write it and myself or Temitope will answer. When you go to a shop, call her Mama Farida. Tell her you're from me. She'll give you a discount, trust me. Thank you once again. Remember to subscribe. See you next time. Bye. He just sits and enjoys my interview. He just stands there and enjoys the interview. He doesn't know the pressure here. I will interview you next. Don't worry.
I'm so nervous.
Results done the interjection.